Welcome back, everyone. It is Eric from Candy, and today we have the finals match of a recent League Cup that I got to go to at Guild Gaming in Jacksonville, North Carolina. So I already did upload a top 8 match and a top 4 match as well. So if you guys do want to see some more rounds from this tournament, I will have those linked down below in the description for you to check out. But here in the finals, we have 2 returning players from these other rounds. We have Alfredo Sepulveda over there on the left, playing the Rapid Strike deck with the Inteleon VMAX, the Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX, all that good stuff. And over there on the right, we have Vince Owen, who's going to be playing ArcTina, but this is the ArcTina version that plays the 4 Klefkis. Though, you know, I don't know how good those are going to be in this particular matchup, but normally it can be pretty annoying against some of these other more basic reliant decks out there. But you never know, it could still shut off things like Luminion V, or maybe even the Radiant Alakazam at some point. It's not the most useless card in the world, but this is definitely not the matchup Vince would prefer to have the Klefki for. And here you can see it actually does get this started too. So normally you would be stoked on it, but for this particular matchup, probably not too much. Especially since it can be a liability with how few HP it has. And here, I think the players were talking, they forgot who was supposed to go first, but I'm pretty sure it is Vince here, if my memory does serve me correctly. Yeah. So Vince is going to get to go first here. And there's going to be a Nest Ball. That's a pretty good top deck, I would say. The big thing you want as the Arceus player, you just want an Arceus plus an attachment. So there's going to be the Arceus feed. Does Vince have an energy attachment in hand? That's sort of the next question. I didn't get a great look at it, but he's got plenty of cards there, so he might have another one. Oh, there's going to be a Nest Ball. Also grab himself a Bidoof. But again, does he have the energy? That's the big thing that Vince really needs here. Okay, he does have the double turbo. So yeah, this is actually a pretty great first turn from Vince. But similarly, it also looks like Alfredo's opening turn might be pretty good here as well. There's going to be Battle VIP Pass. So, you know, his perfect turn 1 card he wants to see here. So no doubt we're going to see a Rapid Strike Urshifu, but beyond that, you know, what else is he going to grab? We could see a Remoraid come down, since that is sort of his whole, you know, draw engine, or I should say search engine, thanks to the Octillery. Though Inteleon V could be a possibility as well. And Alfredo also does have a Nest Ball, I believe, so he will be able to get, you know, another Pokemon to play if he does so choose to do so. Okay, yep, there's going to be the Nest Ball, so we could just see an Inteleon V. Seems pretty good. Yeah, so you kind of have the holy trinity of Pokemon you want in play. You know, first turn here, you got the Remoraid, your Urshifu, and the Inteleon, so you got to be feeling pretty good. I think maybe he would like another Inteleon that could be good, but, you know, I think he's doing okay here. So Rapid Strike Energy coming down, and probably just going to see a pass here. Okay, there's going to be the Arceus V-Star and the Burrell, so things are off to a great start for Vince so far. And it looks like Vince is going to use the Burrell here to draw a few cards before committing to anything else just yet. But from there, it looks like Vince is just going to go ahead and use Starbirth. Of course, that's going to be that powerful V-Star power on Arceus that lets you search your deck for any 2 cards. But if he doesn't already have Boss's Orders, I think he probably just needs to target down this Urshifu, since that really is the big threat on Alfredo's board right now. Though you could also make an argument to take out the Remoraid, or even just go for a Judge this turn. Not the worst thing ever either, but if you leave the Remoraid in play, you know, Octillery could always bail Alfredo out of a bad hand. But especially if you have the V-Guard energy, that does open you up to some interesting plays, because with the V-Guard, the Rapid Strike Urshifu actually can't even knock you out. He'll actually be 10 damage shy. So Vince seems a little bit conflicted about what route he wants to go here. Yeah, there's going to be the Boss's Orders. And probably just deciding, do I want to take out the Remoraid or the Urshifu? And Urshifu is definitely the big threat, so I think this definitely makes sense here. Just get the first hit in on this thing and set up some energy on this Giratina V. So yeah, I think things are going pretty well for Vince overall so far. It is unfortunate that he does have the Klefki in play because it is definitely very much so a liability and could offer Alfredo a way to maybe eventually cheat an extra turn with Metacham V if enough damage counters accrue on it. But other than that, I think Vince is definitely in a pretty decent spot so far. There's going to be Inteleon V Max. And Alfredo does have that Iono in his hand. Also, does look like he has the Urshifu V Max if he wants. And I do think there is an argument for attacking with the basic Urshifu V, and also one for the V Max here. He could definitely go either way with this turn. I'd still probably lean towards the V Max here, but I think the argument is the Arceus has to two-shot you either way, and if you attack with the V, it only gives up 2 prizes compared to the 3. But if you do evolve, you can actually get an extra prize by knocking out this Barrel, which of course the Arceus decks are usually pretty reliant on. So again, there are some pros and cons to both of the Urshifus here. But it looks like Alfredo is favoring the VMAX here and is going to hit them both with an Iono. So we are going to see an Ultra Ball getting rid of, looks like a Research and an Escape Rope. So what's the next card we're going to see? I would assume probably Octillery. That way Alfredo can finally set up his whole search engine of his deck. And from there, the Octillery can grab him a different Pokemon if he wants another one this turn too. Okay, yep, Urshifu V. And it looks like Alfredo's a bit conflicted about what he wants to get here with the Octillery, but he is ultimately going to use it here. So let's see what he does decide to get. Looks like another Inteleon. Seems good. So at this point, we'll probably just see a G-Max Rapid Flow. It won't knock out this Arceus, but it will put a pretty big dent into it. And he can at least knock out this Barrel, though. That's, I think, the big plus side to evolving into the V-Max and doing the sniping attack. And here you can see Alfredo is reading V-Guard energy. Probably just wants to see if this damage reduction happens before or after weakness, if I had to guess. But yeah, there's going to be the knockout on the Barrel, sort of as predicted, and this Arceus V-Star getting softened up. Okay, so Vince does have an Ultra Ball. So going to get rid of a Battle VIP Pass and an Iono. So I imagine we'll see another Giratina V. That seems good, just because Giratina is not weak to anything in Alfredo's deck here. So just having a couple of those in play at any given point doesn't seem too bad. Yep, there's going to be the Giratina V. And it looks like Vince is a little bit conflicted about what else he might want to do here. Looks like he's debating on another Ultra Ball. Maybe he's trying to thin his hand down in preparation of an Iono. But honestly, even if he doesn't do anything else, I think that's okay. You know, Alfredo has a pretty low hand size here, so I think there is even a world where you just end the turn with a Trinity Nova and call it a day. But there's going to be Ultra Ball getting rid of Judge and an Arceus V-Star. Okay, getting a Giratina V-Star, so at least gives him an attacker. Okay, and he does have an Iono as well. So let's see what Vince can find off of these cards here. I guess Vince figures, you know what, should probably just play the Iono now before I take half my prize cards and this card becomes much worse. It's probably the thought process here. Okay, there's going to be, looks like an attachment for turn on the Giratina V. And again, I assume we're just going to see a Trinity Nova knocking out this Rapid Strike Urshifu. Vince might just be thinking, do I retreat? What do I do? But yeah, just going for the Trinity Nova seems good. Also, just thins more cards out of your deck in the process too. And I like this because now Vince has the option of attacking with Giratina V, which doesn't have to remove energies anytime it attacks, or he can attack with the more powerful Giratina V-Star. So I like that he sort of has the option to go in with either one here if he chooses. So let's see how Alfredo is going to respond now. He does finally have some water energy in his hand, so if he's able to bump this path to the peak and regain access to his abilities, he could use that to start pinging some of Vince's Pokemon with some damage counters. Specifically, I think he probably wants to target down this Klefki just to put himself down back on like an even prize track. But we also see, I mean, Alfredo has a pretty good hand. He has 4 Sealstone, he has supporters, he still has his Octillery as well, so there's the 4 Sealstone. Yep, so there's going to be that. That's going to allow him to search any card out of his deck here. And looks like Hurte is the one that he is thinking about. So Hurte, of course, that will... Okay, yeah, looks like that is the one he's going to grab. And Hurte does allow him to get a water Pokemon and an item. So more than likely, we will see him find another Inteleon VMAX. But the question is, what item does he want to get here? You know, outside of just getting more ball search cards like Ultra Ball or Nest Ball, if he is planning on bumping this path to the peak that is stuck in play right now, he could be thinking of ways that could get energy. So maybe like the Energy Search, or I'm pretty sure he also plays Energy Retrieval in his deck as well. So both of those seem like likely options as well. But no matter what, I think he's playing towards being able to use these abilities on his Inteleon VMAX finally. So yeah, he is going to go for the Energy Retrieval. But the issue I think Alfredo still has is that he not only needs the Tower of Waters, but he still needs a Rapid Strike energy. And we are going to see him at least grab the energy here. But does he have the Stadium in hand to go with it? He has energy, so that's good. He will at least be able to guarantee a KO on this Arceus, which is probably the most important thing this turn. But I don't think he actually has the Stadium, so he might have to go another turn without his abilities, but nevertheless, like I said, as long as he's getting at least one knockout this turn, he's going to be feeling, I think, pretty good. Yep, there's the Rapid Strike energy on Inteleon. So even though Urshifu has been the primary attacker so far for this matchup, Inteleon's attack isn't bad either. You just return, I believe it's an energy to your hand, and it can hit for 140. So that's going to be a pretty good two-shotting number. You know, barring any V-Guard energy shenanigans, that's actually a really good number to hit for against Vince's attackers that all have 280 HP or less. So let's see what Vince is going to promote here. Looks like he is thinking about going the Giratina V-Star route. Yeah, he's definitely a little bit torn here, but okay, there's going to be another Giratina V-Star. And actually getting V-Guard energy is kind of cool. You probably can't attach it this turn, but that definitely could be a card he could get down later. Well, let's see, there's going to be Ultra Ball getting rid of Arceus and a Psychic Energy. What is he actually going to grab with that, though? Looks like he's thinking about Bidoof, but there's going to be a Klefki. Okay, and there is going to be an Iono. So I think the card that Vince really just wants to find here is Boss's Orders, because he's going to be swinging on this Inteleon VMAX here, and if he can just find a boss for next turn, that is actually going to seal up the game. Okay, there's going to be, it looks like a Choice Belt. So he is going to be able to smack this Inteleon for 310 damage. Unfortunately, just 10 damage shy of a KO, but yeah, there's going to be the Lost Impact, so of course he does have to send 2 energy into the Lost Zone to use the attack, so he can just pitch away that double turbo he put on the Klefki earlier to pay for both of those energies here. Now, one card that could pop up is Cheryl. That's a card we do know that Alfredo runs in his deck, which could be pretty devastating for Vince if he ever can find that and heal off this damage from his evolution Pokemon. Okay, there's going to be, it looks like an Urshifu he's finding off of that Ultra Ball here. Yep, Urshifu VMAX coming down. So Alfredo just needs a Tower of Waters and a Rapid Strike energy at this point. I think those are the big cards he really wants to find here. And he does have an Iono. It's only going to give him 3 cards, but if he can just find one of those 2 pieces, that is going to be enough to sort of allow him to, you know, put together something good for the rest of the turn. And he does find the Rapid Strike energy, so he can just use the Octillery that he has to find his remaining combo piece to get this Inteleon out of harm's way. So this is why Vince needs that boss's orders, because he knows that Inteleon is just sitting there ready to be knocked out. And as soon as he can do that, he will be able to take a game 1. Whereas Alfredo definitely still needs a few turns to put together a win here still. Now, it's a bit unfortunate he doesn't have any water energy to go with the stadium bump here, because he'd probably like to start using the abilities on Inteleon. But nevertheless, he sort of found the bare minimum I think he really needed this turn. And from there, just going to swing on this Giratina V-Star for 150 with that Gale Thrust attack. Okay, so we do see, saw a Battle VIP pass in Vince's hand. We saw an Escape Rope as well. We see a Box of Disaster, which normally is a pretty cool card, but in this particular matchup, it's almost beyond useless just because it only activates if your Pokemon has full HP and they're knocked out. Whereas, you know, Alfredo, he's not really going to be knocking things out in one hit. He's sort of just chipping away at Vince's Pokemon little by little. So could have been good to maybe have gotten down on an Arceus earlier in the game or something like that. But at this point, probably not going to be a very relevant card. Just probably trying to play his hand down in case of an Iono or something like that. So he definitely has to Lost Impact here. The question is, what energy do you get rid of? Because there's definitely pros and cons to getting rid of energy on your active versus the bench. Because what Alfredo can do, he always can just sort of ignore this active Pokemon and just start sniping the bench instead. So in a way, Vince actually probably wants this active Giratina to go down. That way he can attack with his fresh one on the bench, but we'll have to see what route Alfredo is going to go here. Okay, I believe he has a Clara in his hand, which actually could be pretty good because the Octillery can grab him the Counter Stadium to get rid of Path to the Peak, and then he can use the energy off of Clara to start sniping with Inteleon VMAX. And honestly, is there a world where Alfredo can get a KO here? I think it just depends on how much energy is going to be in his discard here. I think he needs 2 energy really to pull off the game-winning play, because if he's able to, well, because he would need to snipe Klefki, move 1 damage counter to Giratina V-Star in the active, and then attach for turn to the active and use G-Max Rapid Flow to knock out both those Pokemon. But if he only has the 1 water energy in there, it definitely makes things a little bit more complicated. Okay, there's going to be the Rapid Strike Search. So what is he going to get with this, though? So I feel like the 2 cards to really be thinking about here is maybe, obviously, Tower of Waters can just bump this stadium and allow him access to his Rulebox Pokemon's abilities once again, but if you do that, you're still not winning this turn. So if he wants to play it a little bit riskier, he could go for Karina's Focus, because it's theoretically possible off of Karina's Focus he could get the tower, but also the energy he needs to be able to knock out this Klefki and this active Giratina V-Star all at the same time. So I know he would like to win this turn, but he might have to get a little bit lucky if he does want to. Okay, there's going to be the Tower of Waters. And honestly, even if Alfredo can just go G-Max Rapid Flow, knock out the Klefki, and do 120 to this active Giratina, not that bad. But, I mean, then you can't move any damage counters to the Giratina on another turn, so we'll have to see what route he's ultimately going to go here. But I still think, I still kind of would like to see, I'd like to see him bump the stadium, use the ability to target down Giratina and Klefki. But, oh no, he still can't Rapid Flow. That was the issue, sorry. Yeah, he's just literally like 1 card short of pulling off a miracle here. He's thinking about getting down another Rapid Strike Urshifu. I don't know how much I like that, to be honest. I think I'd rather almost see the Radiant Alakazam or just save the bench space at this point. But G-Max Rapid Flow, yeah, this seems good. Now this Giratina is only a single damage counter away from being knocked out. But it's still not over. If Vince just has a single energy, he can actually just hard retreat this active Giratina and take the game-winning KO with this benched Tina V-Star. From what I can tell in his hand, I don't think he has it. Okay, we do see an escape rope. He needs to get himself another path to the peak, though. That's going to be really important here. Because otherwise, Inteleon VMAX will be able to just snipe this Giratina on the bench, because it's hanging on for dear life over here. And so Vince is going to get down the Bidoof. No harm in getting it down at this point. You just sort of lose to bench sniping of any sort at this point. So Bidoof is safe in case Vince does top deck into a Barrel. He just needs Alfredo to not have game this turn. But without a path to the peak, it's definitely going to make it a lot harder to prevent Alfredo from pulling this win off. And yeah, Vince just has to swing for 280, unfortunately, on this active. So Vince has done so much damage with this Giratina, but just not in the right spaces. You don't very often lost impact 3 times in a row and not take a single prize. Okay, there's going to be the Melanie plus the Rapid Strike Search and the retreat into it. Yeah, so Alfredo is going to take game 1 here with the G-Max Rapid Flow attack. But this is going to be a best 2 out of 3 series, of course, guys. So Vince definitely has a shot at bringing it back here. And we did see how close he was actually to winning game 1. He just was never able to find that final energy or boss's orders he would have needed to close out that game. So even though Alfredo does have a type advantage, it's definitely not unreasonable for Vince to be able to come back and take 2 games against him. Going into a game 2, Vince does have the option to go first yet again, so that is definitely an advantage he's going to have. Let's see what he is going to start with. Okay, there is going to be a mulligan, which definitely feels bad. Vince actually ran into the same thing in his top 8 match where he lost game 1, then going into game 2, he even started mulliganing, giving his opponent extra cards, which is definitely not what you like to see, though. In the top 8 match, of course, he eventually did win, so I think he'd be happy to trade a mulligan if it means he can get a win yet again. But let's see if he can finally get a basic. We do see a Klefki there yet again. A Pokemon you love to start with, just not in this particular matchup, I think. Though, if nothing else, it will maybe shut off a potential Lumineon V. But does he have... Okay, he does have Ultra Ball. I was wondering if he had an Arceus. So there's going to be Ultra Ball, Toss Away, but Barrel, and a Grass Energy. Looks like Vince is just taking a peek through his deck, seeing what he has access to. But more than likely, he'll probably grab Arceus. Okay, but there's going to be Arceus V. We know Vince has another energy in his hand, though I'm curious if it is going to be a Double Turbo or a Psychic Energy. And the reason I am kind of wondering is because if it's... Okay, it is Double Turbo, so that means he does have maybe the option of getting down V-Guard like he did in Game 1. So if he is able to do that, that might buy himself an extra turn of being able to use Trendy Nova at some point. So there's going to be a Nest Ball from Alfredo. Probably going to see either a Remoraid or another Inteleon V come down, or an Inteleon V come down. Looks like he's just taking a peek through his deck, probably just checking to see what is going to be hiding in the prize cards this game. Okay, but there is going to be a Remoraid. Question is, does he have any other way of finding additional cards here? Okay, if he's shuffling up, that tells me he must not have an Irida or a Battle VIP Pass or something like that. Though I think we did see Hisuian Heavy Ball, so we could see him grab something out of there. Okay, yep, so that will guarantee him the Inteleon V. So yeah, I think Alfredo is doing pretty good so far with this turn. Probably just wants to find an energy attachment. I think that would be the next big card he'd really be looking for here. So we know he does have a Water Energy. So this is kind of tricky because he has a Tower of Waters. Okay, but he is opting to just pass. I was going to say there is even an argument to use the tower to retreat to maybe set up for a Gale Thrust, but at that point, you're putting one of your stadiums in harm's way when you're not getting any potential use out of it. Also does open up Inteleon B to be knocked out with a Choice Belt or something. So, yeah, just sort of going to play it a little bit more safe this turn. And Vince is going to kick things off with a Judge. Does he find himself an Arceus V-Star? That's the big card he needs, though. Oof. And this is actually a really unfortunate turn for Vince. You know, resetting your opponent's hand is definitely good, but not being able to do 180 with Tranny Nova actually feels horrible here, because now you're not two-shotting. Well, I mean, you're still going to have to two-shot this Urshifu, but you haven't got your first attack of your two-shot yet. And now this Urshifu is going to be able to wreak havoc for a few turns, which isn't what Vince likes to see. And there's going to be, looks like a 4 Seal Stone sitting in Alfredo's hand. Hard to tell what that last card in his hand is. It might be an Irida. Can't quite tell, though. Okay, it looks like it's actually going to be a Melanie, but it's kind of a dead card for the moment since he doesn't have Water Energy in the discard pile. But yeah, just going to get down the 4 Seal Stone. No doubt this is going to bail Alfredo out of his hand. Looks like there is going to be the Irida. So probably see Octillery. And what other card? Looks like Octillery and Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball makes sense. You can grab your Rapid Strike Urshifu. And yeah, this is actually pretty devastating because you can now G-Max Rapid Flow. Yeah, and there's the Rapid Strike energy to go with it. So you can G-Max Rapid Flow, knocking out the Arceus and setting up some damage on this Giratina for the next turn. Yeah, makes perfect sense. And we saw Alfredo does have the Melanie ready to go. So he is actually going to be able to chain these G-Max Rapid Flow attacks potentially. Now, I'm not sure what's in Vince's hand. It must be pretty bad if he's contemplating just promoting the Klefki here. Oof, that is definitely rough. So we do see a V-Guard energy in his hand. So honestly, he could even attach the V-Guard here and Joust. Actually, if he has the V-Guard plus the Choice Belt in hand. Okay, but looks like Vince is just going to put all of that on the Giratina. I'm actually not sure how much I like this. I think this actually might be a misplay from Vince, because if he V-Guards the Klefki, attaches the Choice Belt, he's actually still two-shotting the Rapid Strike Urshifu because it is weak to Psychic at the end of the day. Because you're going to be hitting for, what, 80 damage, I think, with Klefki? And then from there, Giratina V-Star can come in and clean up that knockout. So I think that might be an oversight from Vince. But in Vince's defense, you don't often use Joust. If you're having to use Joust, you're normally in a bad spot. But I do think that might have been a little bit of a misplay, because now Vince is still now another turn behind of two-shotting this Urshifu. So let's see how Alfredo is going to respond here. And actually, if he wants to, he could even... Yeah, if you're able to go for the G-Max Rapid Flow this turn and you can knock out the Giratina, that would be insane here. Well, actually, I think Alfredo lost the Melanie he had in his previous hand from the Iono. So more than likely, we probably won't see G-Max Rapid Flow anymore. Okay, but there's going to be an Escape Rope. And it looks like he's just going to sacrifice the Bidoof. And I think you almost have to at this point, because otherwise you're sacrificing something that gives up 2 prizes. And you don't really want that. So there's going to be the tower. So between the tower and that Rapid Strike energy coming down, he will be able to at least Gale Thrust and take a knockout here. Okay, there's going to be the Rapid Strike Urshifu. Or not Urshifu, the Inteleon VMAX, my bad, guys. But yeah, we can now start seeing that ability come down, start sniping some damage counters. So going to get a damage counter, or 20 damage ping on the Giratina and the Arceus. And now he can use Gale Thrust, knock out Bidoof. So if it feels bad saying it, but it almost feels like game over at this point, guys. I think Vince is just debatably too far behind, but there's going to be Iono. So Iono Path can still steal games. Like, don't get it misconstrued. But he's still, I think, just an attachment away from losing, if I'm not mistaken. Right, guys? Okay, but Vince does have Ultra Ball, so he could actually use Lost Impact and stay alive another turn. But if he doesn't use Lost Impact, I think Vince runs the risk of just losing here, because he's got 140 on this Giratina already. So even with the V-Guard, G-Max Rapid Flow still wins Alfredo the game by being able to snipe the Klefki and the Tina. So yeah, there's the Ultra Ball getting rid of Battle VIP Pass and Klefki, and I think you just have to go for the Giratina V-Star here. Otherwise, you just lose to Rapid Strike Search on Octillery. Yeah, so this is sort of where Vince is at, and again, I will point out, had Vince used the attack on Klefki last turn, he actually would be taking the KO here. But as of right now, he is still a little bit behind. But there is going to be the Lost Impact, softening up this Rapid Strike Urshifu. Now it only has 10 damage remaining. So actually, Klefki could still come in and get off an attack on a future turn at some point. But there's going to be the Tower of Waters. So Alfredo will have access to his Rulebox abilities yet again if he does decide to make use of them. Okay, so let's see what route he's going to go here. Okay, there's going to be the Research. I think he was... And kind of interesting, he's not attaching the Rapid Strike energy here. That definitely seems like a bit of a misstep to me. Because no matter what, you're attacking with either the Inteleon or this Urshifu. So you may as well just detach that energy instead of having to... So maybe that might have just been a brain fart on Alfredo's part here, but definitely should have made the attachment to at least one of these Pokemon. But there's going to be the ability on the Inteleon VMAX, sniping some more damage counters. Okay, there's going to be the Rapid Strike Search as well. So what Rapid Strike card do you want to get here? Maybe... It looks like he's eyeing down the Rapid Strike energy. That... Yeah, so this is where you should just attach the one that you previously had in your hand. So, yeah, so I'm sure Alfredo just had to have been tunnel visioning on something else to have discarded that Rapid Strike energy earlier. Not sure what happened there, but either way, he is going to be able to get off and attack this turn for sure. Now, with the V-Guard energy, he is only going to be hitting for, what, 110? So... I don't think that's still a KO. It put this Giratina up to... What? It's hard for me to tell how much damage there. 250, I think? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 250. There's going to be Ultra Ball, getting rid of, looks like, a Nest Ball and a Battle VIP Pass. Okay, there's going to be an Arceus V-Star. Better late than never, that's for sure. And actually, yeah, this is the first Arceus V-Star of the game. Yeah. So Vince still does have access to Starbirth. But the issue is Vince just kind of still loses to G-Max Rapid Flow. So he needs to be able to stop Alfredo from doing that on this next turn. So there's going to be the Iono. He needs Path to the Peak here. Otherwise, he probably just loses to a Rapid Strike Search. Okay, he does have the path, so that is actually pretty big here. Okay, there's the Path to the Peak. And we are going to see a Lost Impact. Softening up this Inteleon here. Okay, let's see. Looks like Alfredo has Energy Retrieval. We see a Karina. For a Seal Stone. Okay, there is going to be the Rapid Strike Search. So that can get him the tower. And if he has basic water energy in the discard, he can just use the energy retrieval for G-Max Rapid Flow for a game here. So there's the energy retrieval, and he does have it. So G-Max Rapid Flow is going to get him that final double KO he needs to take down Vince's ArcTina deck. So unfortunately, that second game didn't quite go Vince's way, but still congrats to both these players for making it so deep in this tournament. And guys, if you did miss the other Top Cut matches, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I will have those linked down below in the description if you want to check those out as well. But if you guys did enjoy today's content, as always, remember to smack that like button for me. Or if you're feeling a little extra generous, you can always become a patron at patreon.com/rarecandytcg or pick up some merch at rarecandytcg.com. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.